G'day, I'm Nick Samios, Liberal Democrats candidate for Berowra. Welcome to this little live stream we call the Berowra Express. The topic for today is small business, and my guest is Dean McCrae, the Lib Dems candidate for the Riverina. I'll introduce Dean shortly, but first I wanted to tell you why small business is so important to us here at the Liberal Democrats. Our foundational principles are individual liberty, personal responsibility, small government and free markets. And nowhere do these principles find more expression, in my opinion, than when an individual decides to take all the personal risk that's involved in starting a business. When they take all that risk, they put all they have on their line for their families, obviously to create a livelihood, but also hopefully to create some personal wealth. But this risk-taking also creates jobs. That said, allow me to introduce Dean McCrae, Lib Dems party stalwart and Lib Dems candidate for the seat of the Riverina. G'day, Dean McCrae. How are you?
Nick Samios, mate. Great to see you. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. It's really great. I'll just remind people that are watching us live that we do have the ability to take comments and questions, and hopefully those will pop up on my screen here in the event that we get any. Now, Dean, we're talking about small business. Both of us have run small businesses, so we're not like our competitors. Candidates in the major parties who the only small business they've really been to are the ones when they nipped out to get a coffee when they were staffers for sitting members, which is what most of them have been through. So we've got that experience. You've run your own business. I just wanted to quickly give some context to what we're going to talk about. We've got this wonderful document that we're very proud of called the Freedom Manifesto. And it's got lots of great stuff in it. It's got freedom from COVID mania. It's got recall elections. It's got debt and deficit. But a couple of things that we love in it. There's small business. And of course, there's also small business people love low flat taxes. So we might touch on that today. So on the topic of low flat taxes, there's lots of stuff in there. We've got the Laffer curve. If you're an economist, you can get some theory as to why that all works. But we've got a low flat company tax of 20%, and that also applies to income tax. We've got our small business policies. Again, there's lots of stuff in there. But what we're particularly interested in is freeze and decentralise the minimum wage. We believe the minimum wage is effectively a ban on employment for low skill and entry level workers and directly causes unemployment. And I think anyone who's studied a bit of economics can make that case. And we've also got a policy here on making it easier to start a business. Startup firms must be allowed to issue shares in lieu of income and also allow micro businesses the leeway to opt out of regulations. It's all great stuff there, Dean. When I first saw that as a small business person, I loved it. What about yourself?
Mate, look, I did the journey. I started out as a young man who thought he was a member of the Labor Party. I sort of for the workers. I've always considered myself working class. No different now, no different at any stage in my life if I even not consider myself working class. Started opening a few businesses and working in a lot of minor businesses, and discovered learning a political journey, I suppose, and then going, I think maybe I'm actually a Liberal Party. That's a bit weird. My family won't understand. I'll get kicked out at Christmas. And then I discovered that those guys are completely full of it as well and have no idea what they're talking about. And most of them have zero interest in what's considered an actual small or micro business. And then I discovered the Liberal Democrats, and it was sort of, commiserations or congratulations, depending on how you look at it. But I absolutely love our small business policies. I think they're well thought out. We have some really big brains who have designed these policies. It's not. I come up with some practical things, and I'm sure, Nick, yourself, you would say, I think this and this and this, and they're from a practical perspective. But the economists in our party have translated these real-world things into policies, and that's why the Lib Dems miles ahead of the other parties.
This is what I love about it. When we got the policy, I wasn't involved in writing it up, but I thought, wow. I've been thinking these things for a long time. Now, look. And I was joking with you a bit earlier, Dan. I've only known you for a short time, but of course, the reason that I'm in small business is because I'm unemployable. I don't know if that applies to you, but working.
Mate, I'm on a lot of things, mate. On a lot of things.
I'm a man of
There's a lot of people who are unemployable, but they're great workers or they're very productive. There are a lot of people with an independent streak who thrive with that independent nature. I don't want to make $1 billion out of a business. If I trip, fall over, it happens. Great. I just want to be left alone.
Well, what I mean by that is, as libertarians, the idea of working, having working under a hierarchy, it's just not a natural environment for us. I think is
100%.
What I mean by that.
And I don't listen anybody that enjoys working for a corporate, but
each to their own. Okay, now listen, we're the Berowra Express. We're not the Berowra All Station, so we're going to quickly get on with it here. Now listen, I saw an article this week by Saul Eslake. Now Saul Eslake is a wonderful economist. No criticism of him here, but he's written this article saying that post-pandemic small business fetishism could cost us jobs and wages. And what he's saying here is that Australian society mythologizes small business. And a couple of examples of what he's talking about here. He says, we say that small business is the engine room of the economy, but he says, actually, when you look at the numbers, small business has been losing jobs over the last 7 years at least. We say that small business is the home of innovation, but as a matter of fact, it's larger businesses that are more innovative than small businesses. And he comes to the conclusion that we should be throwing resources at startups and not at existing businesses. Now, I personally, I don't disagree with his analysis. I can see the numbers that he's done, but I think that rather than talk about the fact that we've mythologized small business and we need to think about it differently, I think that we need to work on making the myth a reality. Small business should be creating jobs, should be more innovative, not necessarily inventing the next iPhone, but finding new ways of doing things. What about you? What do you think about that?
Mate, I look at small business and from my experiences, and I've had some fantastic experiences and I've had some horrible ones, and I've never been shy about owning both sides of the coin. Employing people in the last 5 to 10 years has been getting harder and harder. The red tape gets harder. Your legal obligations get more complicated. And for a small family-sized business or a micro business, if you will, it gets to the point where you've almost got to hire a full-time lawyer and a full-time accountant just to be compliant. That takes away any practicalities of actually running your business or making money or driving your truck if you're a truck driver or running your restaurant or your clothes shop. It's so erroneous that we're almost forced to employ these, and most accountants now want you to have a bookkeeper just so they can do your taxes.
Well, one of the things that Saul Eslake was saying was that, small business, we've thrown all this money at them through the pandemic. And the thing is, it's government that thinks that business wants its problem solved with having money thrown at it. All that small business wants is to be able to open the doors, hire people, and the money they want is off the customer. They don't want money from the government. So they want to pay less tax. So they love the idea of flat tax. But the other thing is that they want less regulation. So they don't want to have to hire a HR person if there's only 5 people on the team in the first place. And what the Liberal Democrats are about is, particularly for those startup businesses and micro businesses, to be exempt from certain regulations so that they can, get off the ground and get going.
Yeah, no, look, it's crazy the amount of barriers there are to entry in business, but also employment. It doubles over. Obviously, the two work hand in hand. So if you've got erroneous red tape that stops an employer from really looking at it going, do I really want to take on this extra responsibility of having a human here, or can I automate it, or can I do it myself, or can I convince my wife to help me, or whatever the case may be, or do I want to hire a human? We need to make it more appealing to hire the human, which we currently don't have that in our system. The system doesn't allow for it. The red tape, the hoops you've got to jump through just to employ somebody is so erroneous, and they're so upsetting for people. You just said more often than not, you see particularly micro business levels where they go, you know what, I'll just do it myself rather than employ somebody. I want to work by myself. I don't want to.
But that's no way to grow a business. We want to create jobs, So that's why we want to take on the minimum wage, which allows people, not at gunpoint, willingly to come and work for for something that the small business can afford, particularly when it's starting up. We also want to be able to pay people in shares when it comes to startups. Look, the Berowra Express is just arriving at the final station, believe it or not, Dean. I was just wondering, where I am, our Berowra Electric, we've got lots of small businesses, and not only lots of small businesses in the electric, but there's lots of people that live here that own their own small businesses in other parts of the city. I'm sure that's the same in the Riverina where you are.
Mate, look, the Riverina is huge. It's an agricultural climate. We've got independent farming businesses, a lot of agricultural businesses. There's some amazing independent things. We've also had a big run on cafes and other sort of stuff like everywhere else that have struggled through the more recent times. But yeah, there are a lot of independent people rurally. People out here in the bush, as you so say, or often we're described, do want to be left alone, and they just want to go about their business, and they don't want to be interfered with.
Well, Dean, I just want you to know that the people of Berowra are here for your beef growers in the Riverina. As a matter of fact, we've got. I've put up the wrong slide there. We have got a series of barbecues coming up every week, and we're going to be using some good Aussie beef that hopefully was grown by some of your constituencies. If you go to the Berowra blog, and if you go anywhere where you're watching this, you'll find a link for it. You'll see that we're in Cherrybrook at midday this Saturday, and come along, introduce yourself. Go to what we've been talking about today is just a couple of very minor points out of that Freedom Manifesto, and if you go to ldp.org.au, you'll be able to download your own copy, mate. You've got a beautiful day there behind you. I'll see you later. Mate, thank you so much.
It's heavenly. It's heavenly here today, mate. I'm going to log out soon, and I'm going to go and check out Topher Field's Battleground Melbourne's release tonight. So if you're not sure
Fantastic.
What it is, jump on Google.
Cannot wait to see
Melbourne.
that.
That's going live tonight. So the work's been done. Topher's great. He and I had a bit of a relationship. We've worked together on Resolute TV for some interviews and stuff.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love Topher, and he is a member of the LDP too. So. We've got to support the family, and mate, Nick, thanks for having me on.
I'll get the popcorn up. Okay, mate, take it easy. Cheers.
Have a great night.
Bye bye.